4 of 6 that I did up to 2006. And now I'm business angel, and I founded in the last 1 year and a half 16 clubs around Italy. And all small one, not in the main city where I was. So we're trying to make the ecosystem.
Hello, my name is Alberto Denino. I'm a bit of a guest compared to the mainstream, but I'm an international law professor, very much involved into the law and innovation issues, and I also take care of some startups in my professional life, being counsel of a major legal firm, and I am also representing a bit of the church social doctrine of the Foundation Centesimus Pro Pontifice vision for what relates to business, finance, and economy. Un po' debole di batteria. Sono i quali I'm a truck.
One, two. Okay, that you got the final part, I guess.
Can you start again?
No, just the third hat is somehow representing the local chapter of the Centesimus Annus Pro Pontifice Foundation that has to do with church social doctrine, economics, labor, and I see my friend and co-member in the public, so I'm very happy. It's necessary to go out and speak of this, particularly in relation to the slow, fast finance debate that we will address. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, a little fast roundtable about where you came from and where you live, and if you have teach at university, so maybe not only work in the field of reality, of business, of investments, but also if you teach or have some experience in some university, please.
Okay, I got a degree at Politecnico di Torino in electronic engineering, and I live in Torino.
Managerial engineering at Politecnico di Torino, and now I teach in...
You have to speak slower.
Yeah. I'm a managerial engineer at Torino Polytechnic, and now I'm a teacher in 6 business schools. 2 of them are international ones.
I teach at the University of Torino, in particular International Law and New Technologies course, which is a master degree course, and somehow also visiting professor around the world. And I'm originally from Torino, so we are very much rooted here.
I saw that your jacket is from Olivetti, and in the panel before we were talking of Olivetti like an example of a good, let's say, slow finance approach. But back to your jacket, there is write something about think fast, act fast.
This was
thinking fast.
this was the advertising
Yes.
of the Programma 101, that was the first personal computer.
It was the first personal computer in the world, and Think Fast was the claim that Steve Jobs took when he made things different, and people does not know it.
Exactly. Yes. And my name is Matteo Basei Fantolino. I have studied in the University of Turin and participating a master in comparative law, economic and finance, attending the classes and then being an academic research fellow for the topic of slow finance, so trying to bring the slow food values of good, clean and fair for everyone, forever, to finance. And I would like to bring this in a specific perspective of venture capital. So in the panel of before, we try to understand what Turing can propose to the city, what Turin can give a good example for Europe and make a point to the map of the world. Maybe mixing the history, the story, the experience of these three incredible people here, we can learn something, be inspired on something, and try to talk about it. So please give the microphone to Giancarlo for the presentation, his books, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Matteo. First of all, I heard that one of the topics tonight is Torino, or in general, are we fast or slow? And as a business angel, I am slow because sometimes I invest in company and I will remain in the company maybe for 10, 12 years until the exit, if there is any. But entrepreneurs need to be fast because they have to change very fast their business model because the environment changes very quickly, so you have to be fast to change. So investors are slow, but entrepreneurs to be fast. But tonight I would like just to share with you my story, maybe you can understand how you can become a business angel, or what are the characteristics of the founder compared to me when I was an entrepreneur in the past. So first of all, this is my book. I wrote a book last year, 12 months ago, 15 months ago. And the title of the book is The Eye of the Tiger, L'Occhio della Tigre. And this is very weird title. When I went to my publisher, they say this is a very bad title. But there is a reason. When we founded Club del Mistero, we were just a few people, no money to run to managing the association, not for profit. And we used to meet in a cafe in Torino, which name is Platti. Have you heard about Platti? Probably you don't know about Platti, but it's a very old cafe in Torino. And we used to stay at the table drinking something, and the founder used to come to the cafe and to pitch in front of us. And one day I remember one of our members, after the presentation, normally the founder leave the cafe, we stay together to discuss about that. And one of our members stood up and speaking loudly say, this founder has the eye of the tiger. So it's happened like that. And since that time, every time we meet a founder that for us seems to be a good entrepreneur, we say this is a founder with the eye of the tiger. So this is the title of the book. But coming back to my story, I would like just to share with you that in my life, there are two buildings that inspired me the most. The first one is the Egyptian Museum. Have you seen it? Maybe. In the center of the city. When I was a kid, I used to visit the museum every week because for free for kids. And I wanted to become an Egyptologist. So I went after the high school, I went to the University of Archaeology to become an Egyptologist. And I remember my father came to me and said, Giancarlo, if you want to become an Egyptologist, you can do it. You can follow this university. You can go to the university, but you have to look for a job. Because in 3 months, I went to the university maybe just 10 days. And it was after the 68, so it was a different world. And so you have another option. If you don't want to look for a job, you have to go to the Politecnico di Torino. You can become an engineer. At the time, there were your parents that were teaching you where to go. And so I didn't want to go for a job, to look for a job. So I went to the Politecnico di Torino, and I got a degree in electronic engineer, and I founded a company. And the name of the company was UFON. I founded with my brother. So my co-founder was my brother. And we started in the 80s with this business that it was a TV production and post-production services. It was a service company. We became very big. And we listed the company in the Italian Stock Exchange in the year 2000. And I sold the company in 2005 to a private equity fund. So after 25 years, I had my exit. So today, 25 years for a founder is too long. But at that time, it was normal to live in a company, maybe to sell, but normally the world was different. So I sold the company, and I had to decide what to do next. So I didn't want to go to look for another job or maybe to found another company. I wanted to go something different, something in the innovation. And so I remember I went to the United States where I met Band of Angels, which is the most important group of angels in the West Coast. And they said to me, Giancarlo, if you want to become a business angel, don't do it alone, join a network. But I came back to Torino, there wasn't any network, it was 70 years ago, and so I decided to build one. So with 4 friends, we founded Club degli Investitori, we started in a cafe, and then now we are the most important group of business angels, Italian angels all around the world. We are more than 400 investors living in Italy and abroad with the aim to support the best Italian tech entrepreneurs all around the world. So, but I want to share with you and the reason why I started. I started with the idea to become a business angel. This is very is my personal space. She's my daughter when she was younger, because I'm old right now. She's 34 right now. She went to the university. Do you know the Conferenza, the gastronomic science university of food in the Langhe region in Piedmont? And one day she came to me. We were in the kitchen at home, and she came to me and said, "Dad, the people like you have destroyed this world." I said, "Wow." Because it was the president of the university, Carlin Petrin, that was very famous to fight against the capitalism and blah, blah, blah. And so I say, okay, Lara, wait a moment. So I spent 1 or 2 weeks discussing with my wife about this problem, and I came back to them in the week after, and I say, Lara, you are right. Probably we made some mistake, and for us, at that time, making the world a better place was a Michael Jackson song. We did it when I was an entrepreneur. My goal was to become to build a big company, to fight competition, and to become rich. This was the goal. Nobody cared at the time about making the world a better place. But I say, probably we made some mistake, but we are very lucky. And she said, wow, what? And I told her that there are 2 reasons why she will be lucky. The first one is that because we invented internet. So my generation, the baby boomer generation, invented internet. And the second reason that she didn't expect, you will see the biggest transfer of wealth, the biggest transfer of wealth in the history ever. So there will be a transfer of wealth, it's something like 70 trillions, from people of my generation to the new generation. So you will be lucky because you will get some money or some asset that you can invest and can make the world a better place. So she did it because she decided to found a company. They have a winery company she is her partner. They have a company in the Langhe region. They produce Barolo, Nebbiolo, and Barbera Alba. So I created an entrepreneur in the family, but after that, I decided that I had the power to help new entrepreneurs to grow, not only about the money, but because of the network and the experience that I have that I can share with these entrepreneurs. So we decided to found a Club degli Investitori. And after so many years, there are so many lessons I learned from entrepreneurs I invested in. First of all, compare to me. So now there are serial entrepreneurs. When I was young, there was no serial entrepreneur. When you sell, I remember if you wanted to sell your company, it was something that you had not to tell anybody. The exit was not something to show up. And when I sold my company, I remained 1 or 2 months in my home because I didn't want to share with friends that I sold the company, because the company and the family, they were the same thing. Probably you are aware that in Italy there are many entrepreneurs who call the company with their surname. Ferrari, Pininfarina, Lavazza. So entrepreneurs in the 60s, that for them the company is the life, the family company. The family company doesn't exist anymore. They are decreasing in terms of number, even if they are very profitable. And now we have serial entrepreneurs. So we have entrepreneurs that found a company, maybe they can stay maybe 5-10 years in the company and they sell the company. This is one of the members of the club, Stefano, who he started when he was very young with a company in biotech. He sold the company to Novartis, and then he founded other 4 companies. The last one was Nucleo, that is developing a small nuclear reactor based in Torino and in France. So no more family company, no more one solo company, but founder, serial founder, and also parallel founder. Maybe if you're able to do, you can manage company together, but it's not very easy. Just a very few people are able to do this. The second characteristic is the networking. When I started with my company, my only source of money or investment was the bank. I used to go to the bank, maybe 3 blocks from my company, and discussing with the director of the bank just the rate. How much money you can lend me, how much can I borrow, what is the rate, what is the interest to pay. So this is the only way to get money to grow your company. And today it's completely different. I would like to share the experience of Alberto and his co-founder. They built the most important fintech company in Italy, Satispay. And this guy has a very, very large network. They were able to raise a lot of money from something like 100 different investors. So you have to manage a network to grow. You cannot do by yourself. You have to manage a network of investors, shareholders, maybe stakeholders and partners. Completely different from the model that I had when I started with my company. Another characteristic is the growth. We're talking about fast or slow. So I'm fast because I can wait maybe 10 years after exiting from Al Gore, that is a company that developed artificial intelligence for students. They help students to improve their capacity, train to mental maps, something like that. And this is a guy that came from Catania, a very small town near to Catania, 1,000 people, and he started this company. We were the first investor with the first €100,000. And now there are other investors in the company, but all the investors generate a lot of money if you are a smart entrepreneur to get, but the pressure grows. So instead, when I was young, I remember with my brother every year, we used to celebrate if the turnover went up by 10, 15, 20% per year. Now you have to grow maybe 20, 30% per month. So this is a completely different world. But the most important soft skill that I appreciate when I interview a founder is what I call anti-fragility. That is not resilience, it's something different. This is an example of, it means that the world changes very quickly and you have to change your business plan, your business model. As an investor, I don't like to see business plan. I don't care about business plan, because if you make a business plan, you have to change the business plan maybe every 3 months. And so this is a very nice example. These 2 guys are the founder of The Orbit. I invested in The Orbit more than 10 years ago. I'm still an investor in the company. And when they came to me, this is the most important space startup in the space economy. Now they have a valuation of about 800 million. And they came to us and say, we have an idea. We want to build a tool to push the satellite outside the orbit when they are at the end of their life, because there is a lot of debris and garbage around the Earth, and they say we want to do this, and they have a very, very, very incredible tool, and we started investing with other investors about 2-3 million in the company more than 10 years ago. Do you know how many of these tools they were able to sell? 0. Because nobody cared about cleaning rubbish in the space, and nobody cared about that. And so these guys came to us 6 months before running out of money, and they say, okay, in the next 6 months, we will run out of money, so what do we have to do? And we say, okay, we ask you what to do. And they came to us 3 months and before closing down the company, and they say, we have an idea. We use the same technology, not to clean the space, let's come back, but use the same technology to push, to install the satellite in the space. So now, with the same technology, they build a sort of bus, a sort of satellite bus. They put the small satellite in the bus, they charge the bus on the SpaceX rockets, the rockets reach the orbit, and the bus deliver the satellite. So instead of to be the deorbit company, they have an orbit company. They are orbit company. The name is still the same, but they changed the model. So one of the skill that we like the most is anti-fragility. So they have to change the business model very quickly. This is the most important one. And so other, let's go ahead. Okay, this is the way today the company works. Another characteristic is that we look when we invest in the diversity of the team. So I remember when I was young, there were a lot of entrepreneurs that were called hands-on entrepreneurs. They used to manage the company by themselves. Today, there is a team. And statistically, in my investment, the team under the sign of the diversity are the most performance one. I mean not only gender, I mean also different of ages, experience, and also maybe international, Italian international. So this is a very, very important point. And I have a statistic inside my investment that this will be the most successful team. And then another issue, you can become an entrepreneur even if you are very young or if you're now very old. This is Davide who founded Talent Garden, that is one block from here. It was maybe one block from here. And he founded this company when he was 18, 19 years old. He left the university to found the company. But if you can also find a company if you are not so young. These are two guys working for, have you heard about Sorin? Sorin Biomedica is a medtech company based in Piedmont with a market evaluation of more than 3-4 billion. And these were former employees of the company. They decided when they were 56 to leave the company to found another company in the medtech sector. So it means in Italian there is a very, very old song that says non ho l'età, non ho l'età. You can become an entrepreneur if you're not so a young guy. And you can also become an entrepreneur if you copy an idea of somebody else. So there are two kinds of entrepreneur, the copycat and the disruptive entrepreneur. For me, the copycat entrepreneur is an entrepreneur who copy an idea of somebody else. Even the people who founded Facebook or Google, they copied the idea of somebody else, but they were better. And these three guys founded 15 years ago in Verona, Supermercato 24, that was the first grocery company in Italy. So it was the first one, but they copied an idea of another guy, the founders and very important company in San Francisco whose name is Instacart. It is very famous. So you can copy an idea of somebody else, or you can be a disruptive. So it means that you invent something that doesn't exist, something that destroys the market in which you operate. This is Paola on the left side, that was a researcher at the Politecnico di Torino, and we met her and she had an idea, and we asked them to leave the university forever to found the company. And she left the university and founded a company. And one of our business agents, that is Birnur, that was an engineer, decided to join and to help them to build the company. And they have developed software that uses computer vision to detect rains through a camera, through a surveillance camera, to detect rains, fog, and snow into the street. So they are selling the software everywhere in the world. So this is a disruption model. So you can be a copycat or the disruptive entrepreneur. For the copycat entrepreneur, it's very simple, especially in the digital area. You can copy an idea, and maybe in 3 months or in 10 days, you can understand if the idea works. In the disruption, it means deep tech, high tech. Maybe artificial intelligence might mean maybe models, not application. Maybe you can spend maybe 5 years, 6 years to find a client because you don't have the product. So it's very completely different business model. And just to finish, the question is, you need to be a tech guru to become an entrepreneur. So last week, I went to 2 blocks from here in an event from Totem, and they shared to me something about why the coding. I didn't expect that in 15 minutes you can check an idea and you can transfer the idea in a website, and you can have a website ready for launch. So it means that you can be also not a tech guy to become a tech entrepreneur. But this is another example. This is Genenta Science, is a company that has developed a treatment for a very bad disease that is glioblastoma. I don't know if you heard about glioblastoma. It's one of the worst cancer of the brain. If you get this cancer, you have just 15, 16 months for living. And they are using the HIV virus modified. They insert the treatment in the virus, and they use the virus as a vector to reach the brain and to treat your tumor. And the company is listed in the Nasdaq stock exchange. This is the only Italian company listed in this stock exchange, not startup, Italian company in Nasdaq. But the founder is Pierluigi. Pierluigi was a guy who worked in a venture capital fund, in a private equity fund. He was a financial guy. He decided to build the company. So it means that you have not to be just a tech guy. But just to conclude that, okay, it's not so easy because he did it with the second one. With the second guy, which is the head of Center of Research of San Raffaele, Milano, that is Luigi Naldini, that is a guy from Torino. So he joined a scientist, but he was a financial guy. But the CEO of the company, the founder, was him. So this is one of my. I don't want to continue with I have a lot of lessons to teach you if you like, but maybe if you have some question, I will be happy to answer later on. Thank you very much.
I've invited Alberto Giusti because has let's say a similar expertise, a different type of field, a different type of but a common passion, let's say, and something that intercepts my curiosity. It's thinking about to open, like, what if we are able to open a club of investor similar, like, not in the main city of Italy, but bringing that to the, how many now? 20, 16, but you are going to go, yeah, if you can say something about that and share the vision to, let's say, raise the bar of the cultural level of Italy from the investor side, from the founder side. So what to do in the future for the young people, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as Giancarlo didn't found the people around him in Turin, also other people they don't find the people. The club normally are in the city, so you are not used to go to another city to spend an evening in a club or something like this. So you have to have the club in your city. And in Italy there was in Turin, in Milan, in Florence, and in Rome. In other cities there were not. So we did it, but we did it in 16 cities, and now we are opening another 8. We are kind of experiments. We make 3 different evenings at 1 month, 2 months every evening, and in fact the third one we have enough people. We open the local chapter, and we have the normal activity of the club. It is the place where you find the right people to make a path together, helping someone else to make a startup or to become an entrepreneur, I prefer. Because it's not only about startup, but there are also enterprise, there are companies. And there are several trends now, so only ones that Giancarlo told us. But if you think about the fact that now the company are becoming smaller, so you measure the turnover for employee, and this is a KPI, and the asymptote of this kind of trend is about one main company. When someone says about one person unicorn, I don't know if there is a one person unicorn, but the company are becoming smaller. And if we follow this trend, we understand that you could invest in the company, yes, but normally, to use the word of Giancarlo and of Nassim Taleb, the startups are fragile, and the people aren't fragile. Why do we invest in companies and not in people? The company does not resist an invasion of the human people, and why we invest in things that does not exist and we don't invest in people? If you could invest in people, we would have several kind of contracts, agreement, and there are several in different cultures. So there is the income share agreement in the Anglo-Saxon culture, there is the sukuk in the Islamic finance, there is the gemak in the economy of Israel, and there are the model. Why we are not using it now here? And there is another trend that is interesting. It's about Giancarlo told us that there were the people that became entrepreneurs in the way, and they created a family business, and there was only once. Now, well, in the past they were serial entrepreneurs, and so they make different ones. Now there are companies that create startups and make with people, and so there are the venture studios that are the most efficient way now to create the new things. So there are so many that does fail because it's normal, but the ones that manage to exist, they are more efficient only because the system is not about it's a venture capital that invests in tens and only 2 or 3 repay all the ones, but it's about they try 10 and then they make the progression of that only if they are the right problem solution fit, otherwise they are not going away. So ahead. So it's about it's a system that is more efficient, and there are a new kind of method now. And if you think about the venture studio now, there is not a kind of operative system of the venture studio or best practice. There are several examples. There are metrics that say that it's the new way, but we don't have yet the playbook. And it's interesting. And it's interesting only because there is first the validation, and then you plug the founders on top of something that works. And which kind of founders? Only one plus the one, but if you have a normal team, it's, well, the magic number is 3. Normally, the most successful company are about 3 people. But you have to choose 3 people to plug in a problem solution fit idea that works, and to make it work. So, okay, it's a new kind of problem to solve. But the one that managed to make this, they failed the first time, the second time they are better, and so after a while, as normal, the people learn how to do it. And normally the best startup studio are, after several years, they normally have better startups compared to the one that I was born before. So there are new trends, it's interesting, but this kind of new knowledge, it's a global one. So there are no more boundaries. So where would be the new startup studio in the new industries there that they will make the new startup, or the new one-person unit that will be successful? We don't know. So we have to try to have this kind of method, knowledge, factories all around the local areas where there are local competence about different kind of things, because we know the digital ones are in Silicon Valley, okay, fair enough, but the digital is a kind of new element that permeate all the other kind of things. So in Italy we have, the machinery. We are the second place in the world after Germany, like production of machine. We have fashion, we have furniture, we have several things. We are yachting, and in Italy, so if you manage to have this kind of knowledge in the local areas where there are this knowledge that are from several years, and there is this kind of culture about making new things in different industries, interest in this kind of commission. And it's not easy. It's so you have to have time, but it's about you create value. And you understand that you are creating value and that you could make only there. As if you have a digital company, you will go in Silicon Valley. Perhaps if you have a yachting company, you will go in Viareggio. Perhaps if you have a shoes company, you will go in Marche, and so on. This is the kind of vision that I believe.
Thank you so much, Alberto. I feel like the way of emancipation, creating a company, so venture capital, slow investing, so long-term investor, it's how then we will arrive to the conclusion, but now we are like putting some brick to the wall. And I would like to ask Alberto something about Adriano Olivetti, the social doctrine of the church and integrated human development as a thing. And then we will connect that again back to Giancarlo Alberto, because I will give you the conclusion already, but the venture capital, as we know nowadays, has been invented by Olivetti and John Valentine, right? In California, Silicon Valley, some years ago. But they try a different way to invest in innovation. And they find to invest, indeed, in Silicon Valley, in startups. So, but before, just let's say, something about.
Okay, thank you, Matteo. I try to keep together some elements also. It's not really easy, in an easy task. You will allow me some mistakes in properties in my English presentation, but the idea essentially is I see all that from a double perspective. I am a professional, so I know how startups grow. I know to some extent how to be a professional lawyer to help startups growing, and I know, so that part of the story.
Invest.
I also invest for something, nothing comparable, but I'm so fond of innovation that I'm also involved in that. But I also see that from a more theoretical perspective, and being, as you now know, also a representative of the foundation, I will tell you something about economy and church social doctrine. So how to keep together these two stories? I will focus on three dichotomies. One is old world, new world, old conflicts, new conflicts, old opportunities, new opportunities. So church social doctrine was born in 1892 with the Rerum Novarum by Pope Leo XIII. So now we have the new Pope that is somehow following up on that. And the idea at that point was that it was time to embed social issues into economy. That was not something that happened before that period. So that was the birthday of this idea. And we are experiencing something quite close to that, because if you read the beginning of the encyclica, you will discover that he speaks about conflicts, about new forces. He speaks about a trend of innovation. He speaks about the concentration of capitals, and that's 1892. Okay, so after more than 100 years, we are witnessing something which is close to that in terms of potential, but also a potential conflict. Let's think, for example, the impact of AI in labor. Of course, we have no evidence of that, but of course it's something that can be considered. So old world, new world, but old problems that have new clothes today. So this makes church social doctrine very actual, and it makes this idea of embedding non-economic values into the economy very, very important. And that leads to Olivetti vision. Because we talk, what is, and this here is again a second dichotomy, economy and finance. So again, in the concept of economic, we have those values. If you read Luigi Einaudi, for example, a great economist, but also former president of our Italian Republic, you will find that the concept of economic embeds the idea of the dignity of the human being. So the relationship between the entrepreneur and those who are working for him is something that has to be well balanced in the name of a dignity. And dignity is now dignity 2.0. Is the new dignity that has to do with the use of artificial intelligence and all that. So that is again something that is very, very interesting, and I want to stress that. A third dichotomy is between innovation and technology. It's not a dichotomy, but we should keep in mind that not everything that is technological or is highly tech is per se necessarily also something innovating. Innovation can be social, innovation has to do with creativity, has to do with the full full human development, which is the core of church social doctrine, lo sviluppo umano integrale. This is the concept we have in many documents. And again, we have to keep in mind that. So why am I evoking these three dichotomies? Because in my perspective, when we address the idea of investing in something, we should have these dichotomies in mind. So the economic that should prevail over the financial means sustainability, durability, is slow in the perspective that you are somehow cultivating, Matteo. Is slow in the good sense. And again, better the innovation than the technological per se, because technology can be very conservative, can be very, and by the way, there is nothing more conservative than artificial intelligence in a sense, because it's, and we know that. So again, personally, I like the idea of new models of participation to the enterprise. And this is something we need. We need to, for example, to involve scientists that are working for the startup in a process that will make them shareholders at some point. So this is something that I like, and I come back to my professional, let's say, experience, and I think that the really long-lasting and durable experiences are those who apply those principles that I have evoked, and that are to be found in church social doctrine. And of course, I close. Just one final remark. We are all expecting a new encyclica that should cover the topics of the Rerum Novarum after 130 years, because we need to have a new guidance relating to artificial intelligence. And we all know that there is some concrete effort from the Holy See in that sense, and so that will be, of course, a very important step. But that was my very quick contribution to this amazing panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alberto. So just before to ask comments, I would like to point to you that my academic research on soul finance took inspiration from two people. Sergio Marchionne when he say about the capital junk, describing the automotive industry. So if we have a capital junk, we have a big problem here, because, okay, it's not a good picture. And in the other side, from Professor Walter Cantino, has been my teacher, has been the rector of Pollenzo, and Jalbi. And well, we want to make a tribute to Walter Cantino for slow finance. And what else? It's the first time in the history of humanity that is happening something. Maybe we don't figure it out, we don't realize it, but it's never happened before. That is alive people that is burned after the internet, but it's also the last moment in the history of humanity in which are still alive people burned before internet, okay? So this is something we have to keep in mind, and we still have more or less how many years? Maybe 80 years is too much. I cannot say, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, then in the history of humanity for the future, we will not be able to talk with a real person born before internet. And the world is changed so much. And the things is not only that, it's the first moment in the history of humanity in which consciousness, cyborg, humanoid, nanotechnology is applied to something that is able to talk, to understand, to act, to interact with it. So not only human beings are able to interact with the world, let's say. And this is another important point. But it's not only that. It's the first time in the history of humanity that the young generation is able to understand and to teach something to the older generation and to have the interaction. If you think for a moment, for 2,000 years, for 4,000 years, the cascata di trasferimenti culturali generazionali, the cascade of the cultural transferment was from the oldest generation to the youngest generation. That's it. We're not in the one way out. So this is a big change of what is our approach to. So bringing the conclusion, let's say, and going in the direction of trying to make the difference and make what has in common the social doctrine, the slow finance, the good, clean and fair, with the venture capital in your position, in your experience, let's say. But don't forget, and don't be like, don't look in the wrong way. So food is not a movement of being against something. If you know, if you study really good in the right way, slow food is a celebration of biodiversity. Is a way to celebrate the taste, how it's good that kind of food, how it's good that kind of process, and how the supply chain that produced that amazing gift of nature is fair or not fair. All the supply chain of the people that is working to produce this amazing product is paid well or not. So I think in slow finance we need also il gusto del guadagno. Let's say, how in English can we say? The taste of income. We have to be happy to get profit, but we don't need to work just for the profit. We need to work for the prosperity of everybody. And that is a shifting paradigm. Not only is very important, and then I will pass the microphone and ask whatever suggestion you have, what we can have, what we are still missing, in your opinion. Slow food as terra madre, slow food as Pollenzo. Okay, but then what we miss? The right of the taste. So the right of the fair margin. It's okay. We are still losing something. The right of the gusto, lieto, gusto, of the taste of work. We never, Adriano Olivetti made the difference because the people who come to work was happy to work. And ask yourself, how many of you know somebody that work and then go on burnout, is not happy to work, and so on. We should work because we realize ourselves. And imagine to realize yourself, make the right money, participate in the prosperity. And I guess the social doctrine and the venture capital can also help this kind of complex ecosystem to go in the right direction. Can be wrong, but can also go a very good example of. And in Turin, with Mario Calderini, with the Torino Social Impact, we have really the possibility to give an example, to bring it to reality. And I don't want to make a proposal to everybody of you. I think now is not anymore the time to make a proposal. I think now is the time to make it real. We don't ask them to come here to make a speech because they know the lessons. They make it real. They really make it. And then they share their transformation, their evolution, their experience, right? So if you want to say, to add something to the discussion, please feel free, whatever you want. Who wants to start? Or if somebody has some questions, please.
I'll try to be a little bit quantitative. My experience with startups, I'm a venture capitalist working in the clean tech field, and I quite agree with you with, let's say, these approaches of finance in particular, having the opportunity of doing, let's say, a great job helping the Italian startup ecosystem in developing and giving, let's say, not junk capitals, but capitals that are aiming to generate value is, of course, let's say, my purpose. The problem is that with this theory, that most of the times we are dealing with startups burning hundreds and hundreds of €1,000 per month, and then they need speed from investors to evaluate them, to give them, let's say, liquidity in order to sustain their business and in order to develop and make them their business successful. So it's not that easy to implement this theory when you have many startups that even you can be, let's say, as fast as you can, they most of the times don't survive for these reasons.
I would just say we need to shift from a monolithical perspective of capital to a polyhedric perspective of capital. Stefano Buono has a personal branding, is a kind of capital for himself, but he has a deep skills. He's not just a founder that wants to make something. He knows how to make it. He's a deep tech guy. He has a capitals of relationship, a capital of reputation. I mean, we don't have just to invest in burn rate ratio. We don't have just to invest in the TRL readiness technology level. We should also keep in mind the investment readiness level. And we can raise all the type of capitals that occur for a venture to get to reality. But please, if you have any ideas, any thoughts about it.
The real problem is about the measurement of the value. So If the value is the turnover, it's a fact. If the value is the creation of value in another way, it's another fact. So Stefano Buono sold his company to a medical company that, and at the end he managed to extract the value, and he was sure about the value he was creating. But who could understand this kind of value? So, following Alberto that said that there are different kind of people that have to invest in the company only because they have different knowledge and they could understand the value in a different way. If 100 scientists invest in a company in a particular field of the science and they are expert in this particular field, okay, all the other people will follow them because they don't understand, but they trust that people. So it's about the measurement of the value. And all the kind of human value that you could have in a company has to be extracted in a way to create a value that is a monetary way. But this kind of human value, only the people that are deep in the whole of the field could understand. The other ones could not. It's a kind of business angel, because business angel has a knowledge of something that is very specific, and then they together invest in something that it's supposed to be in the field of competence. This is value, but there is not a method now to understand systematically this kind of value.
I have just one quick remark on the, again, from the law perspective. I think that to be disruptive in the sense of embedding these values and changing also the relationship with the workers, and I was telling you about scientists that should be more and more involved. We need proper legal tools. We need proper structures. And for example, my experience is that with the Italian law, we have not the whole range of tools to enable this transition towards a new model. For example, we cannot really realize properly stock options or other tools that are needed for this transition. So, if I may, I would suggest that we have to be equipped for this transition, because that makes also the investment from venture capital and venture capitalists more long-lasting and producing, because this is, so it's not just, it's a matter of participation in the end. It's not just efficiency, it's also participation, and in the end it's also a matter of dignity of the work. That was your point. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any question?
My question is for Alberto, the second Alberto. I really bought in what you were saying, etc. But in my personal experience, every time I roamed a lot of this event where people talk about this, but usually in the same room, some people really buys into that, and some people are looking in the next exploitation of that. So like the predatory instinct of the venture capitalists, etc. My question is that if you were playing in, let's say, in the easy playground of economy, people could decide whether to play with you or not. But when you add the finance layer, it's so detached from the economy that, you know, like it impacts even more on people, etc. And you cannot really do much. When people say, let's boycott this, how? How can you boycott something that has 1 million connections, etc.? So my question is, are we dividing into two species? One that, you know, believes in something and one that do not. And when the second one gets to power, let me think about one. Oh, Donald Trump, yeah. You can just literally exploit a country and destroy every single tool that you just described in a matter of months, and, you know, like literally erase everything that was built. So how do you see that? Is there a solution to that, or no?
For everyone first.
Yeah, a very, very nice question, and thank you. Now that leads me to an old. That was for me, or no?
It was for you.
Okay.
Everybody,
So
everybody
I take 1 minute just to summarize this position. An old story is economy versus finance. That was precisely what I And finance is now I mean, we have probably read Luciano Gallino, Finanzcapitalismo and all that. Of course, it's very ideological, but it strikes a proper point that when you detach finance from what is the real economy, you have a problem. And if finance is now profiting of, for example, the uncontrolled creation of money, which is also an issue that we have. We had quantitative easing in Europe. We now have stable coins and this creation of money, and no one is really capable of saying how much is the amount of money that has been created worldwide is out of control, is a sort of card game. Okay, and that is a problem, because there is this financiarization that is predatory in a sense. So I see the problem. I don't have solution if not saying we should, as in other domain, we should have international standards and rules that should try to limit that, as it is for land grabbing, for example. My example, when you made your speech was, I had in mind land grabbing. Why is it possible? Well, it is possible because there are no rules. We are in a world in which there is no global legislator. So we still have to play with the different sovereignty of states that are involved, and you always find a way to bribe someone who will help you. So this is, of course, the international law problem, but we see it every day reading the newspapers. So I have no solution.
Sorry.
Neither I, but it's interesting that the place where there are the greatest number of people that have the same rules, and it's a real rule, so a law that obliges everybody. Now we don't we speak about ethics or something else, but all the other things works better. And I'm thinking about China. And okay, it's a fact, and we don't like it, but I don't know if you have the perception of the recent AI Act that China did. It's very interesting comparison with the American way and with the Chinese way. And if I have to bet, I will bet on the Chinese way. It's about ethics, we don't think of such an item, but about effective.
So we are entering the world of ethics.
Yeah.
That is it's a personal space. It's not yes or no, black and white, no easy answers. And to make the world a better place seems to me very, very easy in the past, but today is not so easy. Let's consider, for example, the new trend, defense tech. So if you attend at Italian Tech Week, there won't be too many maybe speech about defense tech. But if you go to some side events somewhere, maybe in some hotel, there will be venture capital who will speak about defense tech. I don't know, because I suppose, for example, that you want to invest in a company that develops drones, autonomous drones. How can we be sure that this drone will be used for defense or protection, or maybe to destroy, damaging, or killing people? You don't know. So as an